Welcome to 5 and 5 from the One Stop Co-op Shop, where I discuss 5 key elements of a game in about 5 minutes. I'm Michael Kelly, and today I'm looking at Ascension Tactics, a 1 to 4 player deck building tactical combat game with solo and cooperative play. And quick disclaimer that I got a review copy of this one. I like deck builders, I like tactical skirmish games, but is this a match made in heaven or some horrifying Frankenstein's monster? Let's find out and get to the list. So I'm going to start out with a mix of my number 5, and that's focused on the AI and the solo and cooperative play. On the positive side, almost pushing this to a full-on pro, the AI is incredibly simple to run. You just draw 2 cards on their turn, it'll generally activate one of their 4 heroes, and their heroes will either kill somebody if they can, or they'll move towards their particular place of power they're trying to control. So it's ridiculously simple as far as AI go, but on the negative side, it can be a little bit too stupid or a little bit too strong. It definitely kind of swings both ways, and you can do some clever things like leading them away from control points with your heroes and that kind of stuff, but often it can feel just a little bit random what they do. But again, it almost goes into a full pro for me. I really appreciate how clean they made the system. I also have a mix for my number 4, which is focusing on the scenarios and the campaign mode. So they have a whole bunch of one-off scenarios, but only a small selection of them can be played solo or co-op. So that's, part of the mix right there. But then they also have this campaign mode where you pick a team of heroes and you add some other heroes and you kind of level up as you go through, and you can replay them if you fail, and it branches a little bit. And don't get me wrong, it's pretty cool that they included that entire mode for 1 or 2 players, but some of the scenarios don't seem as well balanced or thought out as others, and even though it's got the branches and the different kind of parties of heroes you can build, it sort of ends up at the same point and doesn't feel that different on repeated plays as I might like. And we are going down to a full-on con for my number 3, my only one for the game, which is the swinginess and the pacing of the game. To explain what I mean, at least in solo co-op, the game does have a bit of a runaway leader problem. Sometimes the Automa will get next to a bunch of control points very early, and it just can be really hard for you to take them out, especially if the AI deck swings in their favor. But then I've also had a lot of games where I just totally crush them and won very quickly, and that's really the part that bothers me the most. Not the fact that sometimes it's a little bit too easy or too hard, but that most of the scenarios feel over too soon. Especially for a game where I want to kind of deck build into an engine, it feels like I never get to really get any good combos going as much as I would like. But I'm finally going up to a full-on pro for my number 2, which is the tactical combat in the game. And to be clear, kind of like with the AI, this is a very simple tactical combat game, so don't come into here expecting like really complex and nuanced play. But the first thing I'll compliment is how well integrated the card play and deck building is with the units. You just play cards that give you combat points, and then you can spend those to activate your champions, and all they have to do is attack and move, or move and attack, so it's clean, but they have these treasures you can pick up, and then you can boost your actions later. Some characters have range attacks, some characters can blow themselves up to hit a bunch of people, perform area attacks, you can bring in cultists to hold the points better, but they can be killed really easily. So it's a simple system, but it works really well, it plays really smoothly, and there are some cool tactical tricks you can pull off. But sadly, I'm back to a mix for my number 1, and that's the deck building in the game. And this is very much coming from my preferences, where I like deck building to either be fast and furious and give me a huge feeling of ramping up in power, even if it's not too tactical and strategic, or I prefer on the other end for it to be a really strong engine builder with great combos. Heroes of Tennefer would fit into the first category, kind of seat of your pants awesomeness, or a Warp's Edge, and then something like Imperium Classics and Legends would be on the other end. But Ascension Tactics is very much in the middle. You don't really feel like you get great combos going. Again, you don't really have time to deck build as much as I would want, at least in solo co-op, which is a bit of a bummer. But I do want to compliment one thing pretty strongly. They first use this in Shards of Infinity, and that is the ambush effects on some cards, in that when you buy it, you immediately get a bonus, even though it goes to your discard pile. And I think this is great. It really increases your tactical options, lets you get yourself out of a bad situation by buying a card that has the exact effect you need. So I think that complicates things and makes them more interesting, but it's still just a little bit too rushed to be a great deck building experience in my opinion. So overall, looking at Ascension Tactics, I think probably the best look for this game is the competitive play, but I can compliment the solo co-op. The AI works smoothly, it works pretty well. You might want to look into this one if you like lighter deck builders or lighter tactical games, and especially if you like both, because it's a great marriage of the two. But if you want to go heavy into either one, this one kind of dips into both genres, but doesn't do so entirely successfully, and doesn't do so in a deep, complex way. So I think you really want to be like on the lighter spectrum to enjoy this fully. But if you want to see a full playthrough, click the link that just popped up. You can see the game in action. Good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.